Hi, I'm Dean. Welcome to SalesCafeTV.com. I am here with David Prudhomme, who is a regional sales manager for a commercial specialty cleaning company. David, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you.
No problem. David is really good at prospecting and making cold calls, and so I thought we would talk about that for a little bit and just kind of see your process and see how you keep yourself motivated to do that sort of thing.
Okay.
So what's your basic initial approach when you call somebody on the phone that you've never talked to anybody at their organization before?
Well, I think a lot of the rules have changed, especially in industrial sales. You know, things that like security concerns have changed a lot of things, and privacy concerns have changed a lot of things out in the marketplace. So the days of walking in the front door or calling somebody up and expecting that that person's going to come running down 3 flights of stairs to come and talk to you, they're gone. You know, and back in the day in industrial sales, we could go in the back door and kind of sneak in and walk around until somebody realized that you didn't belong there, and they would direct you to the person you're looking for. I think today you'd more likely end up in jail if you did that. So,
yes.
You know, the approach that I like to take, I call it playing by the rules. And the rules are, you know, do unto others as you wish to have done unto you. You know, and that being said, if you don't have an appointment, nobody has an obligation to sit with you.
Sure.
So let's use our time to take the steps necessary to get an appointment and to get in there the right way to start to build a relationship.
Right.
So my initial approach, my initial goal is really to qualify the company as a customer for us, and also to get the right name or the right department that I need to be talking to. In our business, you can be dealing with a variety of different contacts. Sometimes it's purchasing, sometimes it's facility, sometimes it's operations, all the way up to a plant manager or CEO, whoever makes these decisions on outsourcing.
Sure.
The other concern in our business is a privacy concern. A lot of what we do takes jobs, replaces jobs through outsourcing. So we have to be real careful about who we talk to, about what we're doing there. Because if you give people that scare, nobody's going to sit and talk to you once you've riled up their employees like that. So,
right.
You know, my initial approach, whether it be on the phone or in person, and I still like doing things in person. I think that as we all spend a lot of time on the road, we've got time to do these things in person. We've all got 20 or 30 minutes to kill between meetings, and you know, as opposed to sitting in your car with your phone doing Facebook.
Right.
You know, there's definitely activities that you can be doing.
Sure.
But I like to go in the front door, and if they have a receptionist, great, and find out a little bit about what they do there. And you can usually find that out before you even open your mouth, just reading things on the wall and looking for clues around the lobby. And then go in and take the honest approach. I don't have an appointment today. I do have some information I'd like to drop off for the person that would handle this area. And what I do is I'll carry a pen with me, and I put my information in a plain envelope. And I just say, who am I leaving this for? And believe it or not, they'll usually tell you who they're going to give it to. And I write that name on the front of the envelope, and I leave it with the receptionist. And I walk out. I've got everything that I came to get that day. So to me, it's a success. I've figured out, yes, there's an opportunity here. There's enough employees here to make this work. And I now have a contact name. And without wasting any time or letting my mind go blank, I walk immediately to the car and start writing that information down, especially that contact name.
Sure.
And it works just as well on the phone. You can call people on the phone and say, I have some information I need to send to your company. The key word is need. Right. I need to send to your company. Who would I send this to that would be in charge of contracts at your facility or in charge of environmental health and safety, depending on what your area is. And if they're either going to give you that name or they may connect you through.
Sure.
And now if they connect you through, a lot of people don't answer their phone anymore, which is fine because it goes to voicemail and they say, hey, you've reached Dean Heasley. So now I have a name.
Sure.
But once I get that name and, you know, I may have left some information, or if I get the name on the phone, I'm going to send some information. I now am in the rules to call them up to follow up on that.
Right.
So now I have a set amount of time, might be a couple of days, might be a week. I'll call up, and just my follow-up call is I dropped some information for you. I wanted to make sure you got it and see if you had any questions on it. Now they either got it or they didn't get it. It really doesn't matter. What you're looking for is the opportunity to introduce yourself, your concept, your business a little bit, and do what salespeople are really good at, and that's getting people interested in, in furthering the conversation.
Okay. Now, just to clarify, when you started talking, you said security has changed the approach, and the new approach is playing by the rules. And what you mean by that is, and I think this is very important, you mean playing by the company's rules, the rules that they've set up for getting and giving information out to their people.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Once you get through to the right person, and you figure out whether or not they've left the information, they've read the information that you left for them, what do you try to do next? Like, what is the next step in that process for you?
I think the next step, and of course everybody's process is a little bit different depending on your sales cycle and how you approach it. But for me, the next step is I want to find out about, I would like to get in front of them to get an initial meeting set up. Or we have a contract-based business, so if you work in industries like uniforms and things like that, where you deal with a contract-based business, a lot of this has to do with timing. And some of the key information is, what is the time frame here? You know, are we under contract for another year, another 2 years, 6 months? And if you gauge that there's a reasonable time frame, now's the time to get in front of them. And if they won't see you today, I never get off the phone without some kind of a follow-up scheduled. And that follow-up might be, hey, can I give you a call the next time that I'm in Dallas? I'd love to sit down. Maybe we can grab lunch, or just sit down and talk real briefly. Or is it okay with you if I follow up in 6 months or a year, depending on what their situation is? But I always want some kind of follow-up agreed to on the phone. And at that point, people just want to get you off the phone, so they'll agree to pretty much anything. You could probably ask if you could date their daughter, and they'd say yes if they think it'll get you off the phone.
Exactly.
And then, always really important, because all you have out there is your word. If you tell somebody you're going to follow up with them in 6 months or 12 months, you do it.
Right.
You may think that they don't remember that, but one of the larger sales that I've closed in the last couple of years started out that way. And I followed up with that customer, and he said to me on the phone, he said, boy, he said, you are consistent. You told me you'd call me in 6 months, and it's 6 months. And he was so impressed with that dedication and that follow-up and being on my word, that it really helped us. It got us in the door, and it gave us a good foot in the door, a good reputation. So, all you have is your word. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, even if it's something, if you think they're blowing you off, they say, send me some information.
Right.
Send them the information. If you say you're going to do it, do it.
And I think you bring up a good point there with the consistency and being politely persistent. I've had 2 customers thank me for being persistent, and both of them have gone from completely cold, like I had no idea who they were, to now they're some of our bigger customers. And both of them have thanked me for being persistent. And that's great, because they know that I'm doing my job. I'm a salesperson. Our job is to sell stuff. But I think if we approach them correctly, like you say, playing by their rules, they'll be much more open to you being persistent and being polite, and also having you be a resource to them, I think, is an important part of that.
Absolutely. And the goal in a consultative sales approach is you want to be a valuable asset to the company. And let's face it, what's important to you may not be the thing that sits in front of them on their desk.
Right.
It may be the thing that sits in front of their desk, and they don't want it there, which is even better.
Yeah.
So being politely persistent, as you said, and doing what you say you're going to do with follow-up, it allows them to not have to, have that in front of them. You're reminding them of something that they do need to do, that they want to do, but it may not be part of their core business. And that's great, because it fits in with what you're doing there. We always tell customers, you're good at manufacturing. You're good at producing the widget. The rest of the stuff that goes around, fixing the machinery, cleaning the facility, handling the grounds, that's the stuff we're good at. Let me take that off your desk so you can focus your resources, your money, on being more productive in production areas.
Sure. Nobody likes doing prospecting and cold calls. I mean, if you like it, there's something wrong. How do you keep yourself motivated to do that on a daily basis? You told me once that you make 100 calls a week, and that's just part of your schedule. How do you stay motivated to do that?
My motivation is pretty simple. My motivation to make 100 calls is no different than my motivation to get in my car and drive for 10 hours, or to spend my 4th night in a row in a hotel with green carpeting. I don't really love green carpeting. My motivation is this is my job. This puts food on the table. It provides for my children and my family, and so it's part of my job. Someday maybe I'll get to the point where I don't have to prospect and cold call. I'll have such a book of business that people will just be calling me every day. I don't anticipate that happening next week. So just to be safe, I'm going to continue to do those things. But a lot of what I do, and I've done this my whole life, all the way back into school, I have to be more organized and more prepared and more structured than other people. It's just who I am. It's understanding the way that you learn or the way that you work. We all know people who have photographic memories and they don't write anything down and they don't keep a calendar, but they still show up on time. And that's great. That's not me. That's never going to be me.
Besides the keeping yourself motivated in sales, you've had quite a journey in physical fitness over the past couple of years. David's a friend of mine, and when I met David, there was a lot more of David to love than there is now. And his fitness journey has been quite big, and I think that's probably had a lot of effect in your sales. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of people who spend a good amount of time on the road know that it's hard to get a lot of exercise. It's hard to eat good. We eat in our cars a lot. We're eating at the airport a lot. And there's just not a lot of healthy options in the Memphis airport or whatever airport you're in. And so over time, that and some other factors, contributed to me putting on a lot of weight. And when you're in sales, especially in industrial sales, you're on your feet a lot. You're in customers' facilities. You're walking around in industrial environments, and sometimes the pace can move quickly. And I think that to handle that and to handle the rigors of being on the road every day, dealing with getting up early and getting on an airplane, and just the stresses on your body. If you don't take care of yourself physically, you're mentally going to break down from it. So the changes that I've made in losing some weight and making healthier choices and getting myself physically fit, it definitely gives me more energy. It gives me more focus. And the other thing is, I find that there's a lot of people who are into fitness. They're into fitness. They love to do it. And it's a great thing to talk to a customer about when you go into their office and you see, a race bib from a marathon in there. And it's a great connection to make with the customer that, this is what you do to keep yourself physically fit. And so it's another thing that it's a great hobby to have. But I think the most important thing is it helps you deal with the physical demands of being on the road every day.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. For your motivation to do the 100 calls, you said it was, it's just my job to do that. Obviously, it's not your job to get up at 4:30 in the morning and run however far you're going to run that day. How do you keep yourself motivated to do that?
I'm very goal focused, and again, that comes back to a great tool to have in sales. We all know, we've all been through sales school. We know about writing goals and what are good goals to have. And I constantly have goals for myself. Right now, I'm training to compete in the Ironman this summer up in Lake Placid, New York. And that's, I know in my mind that's not something that I'm going to wake up on July 21st, get in my car and go to Lake Placid and show up the next morning to race. And if you don't get into that prepared, it's not going to be a pretty experience. So the motivation there is, hey, I've got this goal out here, and I want to achieve this goal. And it doesn't have to be something like that. Your goal could be, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds, or I want to be able to run a 5K, or I want to be able to bench press 300 pounds. And if you wake up every day and you're clear as to what your goal is, and you have a written plan that says this is what I need to do to get to this goal, it helps you stay motivated. And I go to bed every night a lot earlier than my wife would probably like, but I go to bed every night and I know what I've got to do. And whether it's my fitness goals or my sales goals, every night, the night before I go to bed, I make a list. What do I need to accomplish the next day? And it starts with getting up early and getting a workout in, getting something good to eat, and then getting started on my day.
And do you actually write that down, what you're going to do the next day?
Absolutely.
There's a million salespeople and sales gurus out there that say, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to write down your plan for your goals. But I don't think a lot of people do it. And there's something to that. If you write down and you have in front of you so that when you wake up in the morning and you're not clear and you haven't had your coffee yet, if you know what you've got to do, I think that plays a big factor in how your day is going to play out and whether or not it's going to be successful.
Yeah. And the other side of that is starting by getting it written down is great. And that's the first step, is to get out, is to do it. And I would encourage people, try it for a week and see if it makes a difference. See if you find that you're more efficient. But the other thing that goes into it is you're crossing things off that list. You could see the progress that you're making during the day. I track the number of phone calls that I make on that same sheet. That pad goes with me in the car. It goes with me anywhere I am in the house. It grows during the day as things get added on there. But you prioritize the things on that list, because there are things that have to get done, and there are things that would be good to get done. And it's great because once you get done what has to get done, and now you see, hey, I've got 2 more hours left in my day. Now I can start chipping away at things that I'd like to get done. Maybe it's a new prospecting approach that you want to work on, or going out and looking for some new leads and things like that.
Cool. Now, you're not the only good salesperson in your family. I would say that your wife is a good salesperson. She would probably recoil if I referred to her as a salesperson. But she runs a non-profit with a partner, and they've been pretty successful. They do raising money for orphans in Russia and Kazakhstan, and what their website is, Two Hearts for Hope.
Yeah, it's twoheartsforhope.org.
Okay. I'll put that on the little. I'll edit that into.
And it's a great organization. Kim and Stacy work really hard to take care of the best interests of the children, and it's something that they do. They do out of the love that they have to do it, which is really the best motivation. It's a calling that they feel to get out and do that, and they do a fantastic job with it. I encourage you to check it out and see what they're doing.
Cool. Anything else you want to add?
No, I appreciate the website and the content you're putting up there. It's great, and good work with that.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.